What is going on, YouTube, and welcome back to another video. First things first, I want to say congrats to Darth Maul or TMJ1313 for winning the Battle Pass giveaway. Now, if this video gets 75 likes before next season, I'll give away another Battle Pass. But for today's video, I'll be covering some basic all the way through some advanced box fighting tips and strategies. If you do find this video helpful in any way, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and turn on the bell so you never miss a video. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Let's start with the most important thing you need to know to win box fights. Good positioning. Almost every shot you take in box fight should be a right hand peek. Watch how Clix dominates scoped here by simply setting up right hand peeks. Almost all of the building techniques I'm going to show in this video involve setting up right hand peeks. You never want to peek from your left side because your opponent will be able to hit you before you even have a chance to hit them, which puts you at a major disadvantage. Now let's move on to taking walls. Yes, I know taking walls is almost all ping related, but there are some ways to increase your chance of taking the wall. First, don't just run straight up to a wall and start pickaxing it. If your opponent is somewhat decent, he will just edit the wall and pump you in the face. Second, instead of pickaxing the wall, try shooting the wall and then replacing it. Doing this increases your chance of getting the wall, and if your opponent does edit on you, you'll be ready with your weapon out. Additionally, try to keep your character protected when taking the wall. You can do this by shooting behind a half-edited ramp, sitting behind a cone, or even take your opponent's wall from a whole box away like shown. It is also important to note that you can even edit the wall from an entire box away. You can do this by pulling out your wall blueprints. Holding your blueprints out allows you to edit that piece from much farther. Now that you've got the wall, let's go over how to edit it correctly. I'm sure almost all of you know the peanut butter edit, where you edit the top right 3 tiles, jump, and shoot. And even though this is pretty effective, any experienced box fighter will be expecting it nowadays. In my opinion, the most effective edits at the moment are the clix window peek and the mongraal classic when done correctly. First, let's take a look at the clix window peek from the box fight god himself. Let's slow this down and break it down. Clix holds the edit for the wall, crouches down to the left, edits the window, then stands up and moves to the right just a bit to take advantage of the right hand peek. His opponent has almost no time to react, and Clix is barely exposed. Now, let's move on to the mongraal classic. Again, I'm sure most of you know the mongraal classic, where you take the wall, edit it, place a ramp inside, and edit the ramp to pump your opponent. But, like I said before, good players are going to predict your edits. To counter this, hold your ramp flip edit, and position yourself to the left so your opponent can't see you, and you guessed it, you have a right hand peek. Another great edit that a lot of people fail to use correctly is the bottom corner edits. This edit is only effective if you and your opponent are positioned correctly. You want to edit the bottom corner in a fashion that you can see your opponent's feet, but they are unable to hit you. When done correctly, it should look like this. Now let's move on to taking floors and cones. If you just stand on top of your opponent's cone and floor to pickaxe it, he's most likely going to edit you down into his box and pump you in the face. Instead, build a wall next to the cone and floor you want to take, and edit a door to pickaxe through. This makes it almost impossible for your opponent to hit you while you're taking his builds. Then, if you do manage to take the floor and cone, edit them and place either a ramp or cone in your opponent's box. This will throw them off and could even protect you from a cheeky shot. On the other hand, if someone is on top of your floor and cone, I have started to see people doing this cone floor edit that Clix does here. This move leaves Clix exposed for a split second, and most players won't see this coming. Now let's talk about piece control. Piece control is having ownership of as many builds around your opponent as possible. Watch this clip and see how many builds Clix places around Kanata during their box fight. In that clip, you also saw Clix use an exploit to get into Kanata's box. So let's go over some exploits. First is the ramp exploit. To do this, place a ramp on the wall you're trying to exploit through, then get the wall weak enough so that one pickaxe will break it, then run towards the wall and jump so that your head hits the top of the ramp, and at the same time pickaxe the wall. The momentum of the ramp timed right will push you through the wall. Yet again though, some good players will see this coming and be waiting with their pump out. To counter this, place a ramp in their box as soon as you jump in to protect yourself from the predicted shot. The next two exploits are not very safe, but can be fun to try on your friends to get in their box. First, you can edit a floor to just one corner. Then if you stand on the rounded edge and break the wall while holding forward, after a few tries, you should be able to phase through the wall and get in your opponent's box. Next, you can place a wall to the side, edit a door on it, open the door, and if you place yourself between the door and your opponent's wall while holding forward, you should also be able to phase through the wall and get in your opponent's box. Like I said before, these methods leave you super exposed, so I wouldn't recommend them if you're playing against some decent players. While on the topic of phasing, let's talk about ramp flip phasing. Ramp flip phasing can be super effective because your opponent will not be expecting it and they will have a hard time seeing you. To do it, get into a box, place a ramp on top of you, turn around and make sure your back is against the back wall. Then flip the ramp towards your opponent and the ramp should turn yellow. When the ramp is yellow, you can shoot through it, but so can your opponent. This can be an easy way to get some cheeky shots on your opponent without them expecting it. The last thing I want to talk about is pre-firing. Whether you get boxed up in your opponent's builds or just have a good idea of how your opponent's going to edit, you can predict his edit and shoot at the same time you expect him to edit. With plenty of practice, you will learn common moves and time your shots as soon as your opponent edits to get some free damage. Okay, one last thing. If you guys want to practice your edits without the pressure of fighting someone, you can check out Raider464's box fight practice maps. He has a great setup of common box fight edits with bots to shoot at. I'll link some of the best ones in the description. Well, that's going to be all for this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed and subscribe for more content like this. Also, if you want to support me even more, use code Milano when buying skins in the item shop. Shout out to all these people who use my code. You all are legends. Don't forget, if you want to shout out my next video, send me a picture of you using my code to my Twitter or Instagram. With that being said, I will see you on the next one. Peace.